Hello everyone, welcome to Advanced Knowledge System and a warm welcome to AKS IAS Academy, which is one of the premier institutions in India, and it offers examination coaching for UPSC CSC, State Public Service Commission, SSC Combined Graduate Level and CLAT examination. So do visit AKS IAS Academy and also the website of AKS IAS Academy. About me, I'm Sandeep Bhushan Thumala, and my credentials are I have 10 years of teaching experience for civil services. I take up international relations and internal security and the analysis of the Hindu newspaper. And this session will certainly help you because throughout my session, I would be emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases, and these keywords and the key phrases will certainly help you to identify the factual, analytical, and also the conceptual questions, because this will also make you get into the mode of identifying the keywords and the key phrases for the mains examinations. So your mains answers would be very much precise and concise, and you will score higher marks in the mains 2020, as well as this session will be helpful for prelims and mains 2021. And this is of daily newspaper analysis of today's Hindu newspaper of 10th of December 2020. And before we get into the DNA of the newspaper, we will look at the quote of the day, and the quote of the day is: don't or do not limit your challenges, challenge your limits. So what you need to limit is not yourself, but you need to limit the challenges which are certainly going to limit you. And now we'll look into the Hindu newspaper analysis, and here the news or the information is in regards to the Wi-Fi networks, or else the keyword here is public Wi-Fi networks. So certainly the union government or the cabinet has gone ahead with approval for a proposal for setting up of a public Wi-Fi hotspot. So this is the keyword or the key phrase which now the government is certainly looking at, or the union government has approved for a proposal to set up a public Wi-Fi hotspots across the country. And this will take up, the setting up of the public Wi-Fi hotspots across the country will be taken up by public data offices, which could be even a kirana shop or a pawn shop. So that is what the proposal for setting up of a public Wi-Fi hotspots across the country. And the main intention of the Wi-Fi hotspots or public Wi-Fi hotspots is aimed to accelerate the broadband internet services, and these broadband internet services do not require the public data offices to get any license or any registration fee. So the public data offices which will accelerate the broadband internet services do not require a license or a registration fee. And the public Wi-Fi access network interface is called as PM Vani, or Prime Minister's Wi-Fi access network interface. So this is the one which is again a keyword that you need to focus, that the PM Vani is in regards to setting up of a public Wi-Fi hotspots which will accelerate the broadband internet services, and this will be through public data offices which do not require a license or even a registration fee. And this PM Vani, which is public Wi-Fi access network interface, was first recommended by TRAI, that is Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, in the year 2017. And the public Wi-Fi access network interface includes, or it involves, multiple players like PDOs, that is public data offices, and you also have the PDOA, that is public data office aggregators, and the third player which is involved is the app providers, and the fourth one is central registries. So the players which are involved in the Wi-Fi access network interface, which is under the PM Vani, is you will have the PDOs and the PDOA and the app providers and the central registry. So these are the keywords which could be useful for the preliminary perspective of UPSC, that which among the following are the players under PM WANI, which is Wi-Fi access network interface. Now we will look at what does the operations of PDOs and PDOAs, app providers and central registry actually get into the mode of operation. So the PDOs are comparable, or they are as equal to the PCOs which we had almost 2 decades ago, that is public call office or a cyber cafe. And these PDOs will establish and it will maintain and operate the Wi-Fi access points, and it will also deliver the broadband services to the subscribers. So what is the function or importance of PDOs is to establish, maintain, operate the Wi-Fi access points, and it will also deliver the broadband services to all the subscribers. And now the function of the PDOAs will act as aggregators to the PDOs, that is to the existing one which will have the access points, and it will also, PDOAs will also perform functions such as authorization and accounting. So along with acting as a aggregator to the PDOs, it will also function as an authorization and accounting. And the third one is the app provider, and this app provider will develop the app which would register users. It will register the users and it will discover PM WANI complaint Wi-Fi hotspots which are nearby to the PDOs. And the fourth one is the central registry, and this registry will maintain all the details of the PDOs, PDOAs and the app providers. So all the three would be maintained by a registry that is called as the central registry. So we have looked at from prelims perspective what is PDOs, what is PDOAs, the app providers and the central registry, which will be very useful for you in regards to your conceptual understanding in regards to the public Wi-Fi hotspots under the Pradhan Mantri WANI. And according to the TRAI, what we have the information is the major economies in the world, around 50 to 70%, they use the total time by Wi-Fi technology. But when we compare with India, it is the time used by the Wi-Fi technology is less than 10%. And these public Wi-Fi hotspots will definitely help to unleash the Wi-Fi revolution in India. So this can be an perspective question for the prelims as well as mains examination in regards to the information and technology. So therefore, you please try to get into the mode of understanding the keyword PM WANI, which is Pradhan Mantri Wi-Fi Access Network Interface. And now we will look at the another news, which is in regards to the vaccine clearance, that is emergency vaccine clearance. So there are few pharmaceutical companies who have gone ahead with taking a request of applying for the emergency vaccine, but the SII and the Bharat Biotech, the emergency vaccine clearance which they have applied is kept it on hold. So who have kept it on hold? It is the expert committee of the Drug Controller General of India has kept the emergency vaccine clearance of SII and Bharat Biotech on hold. Why did they keep it on hold? Because the expert committee of the DCGI, it is wanting more evidence by the Serum Institute of India, and it is also wanting the Bharat Biotech, which has also gone ahead with requesting the emergency use authorization, that they wanted to make sure that they should come up with more updated safety data. So definitely the expert committee of the DCGI, wherein the SII and the Bharat Biotech had requested the expert committee for the emergency use authorization is kept on hold because the DCGI is wanting more of evidence, and it wanted the SIS Covishield, that is the Serum Institute of India's vaccine. The name of the vaccine is the Covishield. It wanted the SIS to submit an updated safety data. They wanted to submit the immunogenicity data and also the outcome of the assessment of the entire administering of the vaccine, which the UK has granted the emergency use authorization for the Covishield in the or the Oxford Covishield in the UK. So the main importance why the DCGI has kept it on hold in regards to the emergency vaccine clearance, wherein they have requested for the emergency use authorization, is they wanted the updated safety data, they wanted the immunogenicity data and the outcome of the assessment to be submitted, and these are the pending evidence which the SII had not submitted to the expert committee of the DCGI. So the keyword here is the expert committee of the DCGI, and definitely the making sure that the Covaxin or the Covishield, which is of SIIs and the Bharat Biotech, have to come up with more of the pending evidence to be submitted. And in regards to the Bharat Biotech, wherein the vaccine is Covaxin, the DCGI says that the data generated, which after the completion of the phase 3 trials they needed to make an evaluation. So the DCGI is asking the data of the Bharat Biotech, which it has conducted the phase 3 trials, and the DCGI wanted to go ahead with making an evaluation. So once this data is been evaluated both by Bharat Biotech and SII, once it submit, then there is a possibility that the expert committee of the DCGI will certainly go ahead with giving the emergency clearance of the vaccine to be administered to various people for the emergency use authorization. And this committee is a 10-member committee. Again, this information is useful for the preliminary examination, and this is called as the subject expert committee, and this committee consists of various members from various disciplines, that is from microbiology, pharmacology, pediatrics, and then from the pulmonary medicine. So the members are from various disciplines, and this is the probable questions which could be part of the preliminary examination from the UPSC perspective. The subject expert committee of the DCGI consists of which among the following disciplines: microbiology, pharmacology, pediatrics and pulmonary medicine. And this committee also has given, that is the subject expert committee of the DCGI has given a permission to the Pune based, that is Genova Biopharma, which is developing an vaccine on the human trials, which is based on the mRNA. So M is the messenger RNA. It is a messenger RNA. mRNA, rRNA, tRNA. There are different types of RNA. That is the one which is being used by the Genova Biopharma is mRNA. You have rRNA and tRNA also, and this is also a prelims perspective question. And in regards to the DCGI, which has kept it on hold in regards to the clearance, that is the emergency vaccine clearance, which the DCGI has kept on hold, the Union Health Ministry has termed the news which has been coming up in the media or the media report on the SII and the Bharat Biotechs, that their application for the emergency vaccine usage has been rejected, is a fake news which has been turned by the Union Health Ministry. It is not that they have rejected, but they have kept it on hold because they need the required evidence or the data to be submitted by the SII and the Bharat Biotech to the subject expert committee under DCGI. So this is the information in regards to the emergency use authorization which has been requested by both SII and Bharat Biotech for the emergency vaccine clearance. And now we'll get into the another news which the Supreme Court has made it, or it has clarified the state governments and the union territories that it should not paste any posters outside the homes of quarantined COVID-19 patients. So Supreme Court makes it very clear that do not or don't paste quarantine posters onto the homes wherein a COVID-19 patient is quarantined, and it has clarified to the state governments and the union territories also. And this, however, the apex court has said that it should not required, but there are scenarios where there is a possibility that they can go ahead with pasting the posters only when, or they can affect the posters only in specific cases wherein in the specific cases the competent authority issues a specific direction to the people or to the administration, local administration, to affect the posters, and that can be only by the competent authority under the Disaster Management Act 2005. So this is again a crucial information for the prelims perspective, that the Supreme Court has made it very clear. You can as well, however, the posters can be affixed only in specific cases when the competent authority issues such directions, but it should be under the Disaster Management Act 2005. So this is the keyword here. So definitely the act which is into action when a specific competent authority can issue and direction is only under the Disaster Management Act 2005. And the order of the Supreme Court has come up because there was a petition filed in the Supreme Court by an advocate, that is Kush Kulra, that he has contended that because of the pasting of the posters on the home of the COVID-19 patients, it is violating the fundamental right of privacy of the patients. So this is the main contention wherein the petitioner, that is the advocate Kush Kulra, has filed a petition in the Supreme Court, and because of that the Supreme Court has given an order clarifying the state and union government not to paste the posters onto the COVID-19 patients, but on specific cases wherein the competent authority issues directions on or based under the Disaster Management Act 2005, then they can paste or they can go ahead with pasting a poster on the house of the COVID-19 patients. So here the petition is filed wherein it is violating, the posters are violating the fundamental right to privacy. Now we will look at how the fundamental right to privacy of the patients are being violated when a poster is being pasted by the local administration onto the house of the COVID-19 patient, because the information, the placard, the poster divulges with a widely publicized, because it publicizes or the poster has the names of the patients or other details of the patients, and this information or the details can be accessed to any stranger or any resident in the colony or the apartment complex, and any household staff of the neighbors can also have the access to the names and details of the COVID-19 patients. Along with that, any vendors or the passerby or any others can also have the access, which will be a widely publicized about the names and the details of the patient. That falls under the fundamental right to privacy. Again, this is in regards to the polity perspective, prelims point of view, that the fundamental right to privacy of the patients are being violated when the posters are being displaced or pasted onto the houses of the COVID-19 patients. So here the point what you need to understand is from the polity perspective that it is violating the fundamental right to privacy. This is the main concept of the entire news, wherein the Supreme Court has given or clarified to the state governments and the union territories that they should not paste the posters outside the homes of quarantined COVID-19 patients. And there is another news which is in regards to the Indian history or art and culture. Art and culture or Indian history. So this is in regards to the Indus Valley civilization, wherein the study has been conducted, and this study has been conducted by Two Rains project, and this project which is being conducted is called as a Two Rains project. This is again the keyword which is crucial for the prelims perspective. The project name of the project is Two Rains project, and it is been conducted by in collaboration with the University of Cambridge and Banaras Hindu University. And the study or the project, that is Two Rains project, is to analyze the lipid residue in the pottery found in the ancient sites of the Indus Valley civilization. So it has been, this study which has been conducted and analyzed on the lipid residue has been published in a journal called as Journal of Archaeological Sciences. So all these are the keywords which you need to definitely look into from the prelims perspective. So the lipid residue is the keyword, the journal is the keyword here, the Journal of Archaeological Sciences, and the project name of the project is Two Rains project. And definitely this study conducted by the University of Cambridge and Banaras Hindu University have found the presence of animal products which includes the cattle and buffalo meat in a pottery, that is in a ceramic vessels, and which dates back about 4600 years, and this has been found, or the lipid residue of the animal products have been found in the 7 Indus Valley civilization sites of today's states of India, that is Haryana and Uttar Pradesh. So here the number of years, dating back to, that is 4600 years is a keyword, and the 7 sites is the keyword of the Indus Valley civilization, that is in the states of Haryana and Uttar Pradesh. So definitely there is lot of keywords or many keywords which are certainly to be looked at, which are perspective from the prelims point of view of UPSC. And the study of the lipid residues shows the dominance of animal products such as meat of pigs, that is non-ruminant animal which is pig, and ruminant animal, that is cattle and buffalo, that is which the animals which again eats and then again takes it out and then chews the food, that is called as ruminant. Non-ruminant, the one that is pigs and cattle and buffalo, or sheep and goat, as well as dairy products have been found in the Indus pottery, that is the lipid residues have been found. And the study has taken into consideration of analyzing the lipid residues, and this analysis involves the extraction and identification of fats and oils that have been absorbed by the Indus pottery or the ceramic vessels. So here the analysis is being done onto the ceramic vessels wherein the fats and oils have been absorbed, and it involves the extraction and identification of fats and oils, so that they have stated that there is a dominance of animal products or the meat of pigs, cattle and buffalo, sheep or goat, as well as various dairy products which have been used during the Indus Valley civilization. And the lipids are relatively less prone to degradation. That means the degradation of lipids are very slow in nature. That is why across the world the archaeologists have discovered through the pottery that what kind of involvement was by the various civilization across the world. And now we will look at the what is lipid residue, which is an additional information which I am providing, because there could be a possibility that the UPSC might focus on the technicality or the chemical composition of the lipid residues. So residues are the remains, and these residues of lipids are characterized on the basis of fatty acid composition. So how does the residues of the lipids can be identified or can be characterized? It is based on the fatty acid composition, and it can be determined by a carbon isotype values. So definitely it is a carbon isotope, and it can be characterized by the fatty acid composition. So here the keywords are the fatty acid composition and the carbon isotope. And there are four types of lipids, that is fats and oils, waxes, phospholipids and steroids. And fats are stored in energy, and the fats which are stored in the form of energy are called as triacylglycerols, and it is triglycerides. So the fats which are stored in the form of energy is known as, again this is a crucial prelims perspective, is known as triacylglycerols and triglycerides. So these are all the keywords which are crucial for the prelims, and it would be very impressive when you use this as short notes, while there is a possibility of the question which is been framed on the lipid residue found by this study by the University of Cambridge and the Banaras Hindu University. And there is another news which talks about Supreme Court has dismissed an appeal by an accused in the solar scam. So definitely the person or the individual who has been part of the Kerala solar scam accused person, that is Sarita S. Nair, has appealed the Supreme Court, because she has been rejected to contest the 2019 Lok Sabha election as an independent candidate from Ernakulam constituency. That is, her nomination papers have been rejected when she was contesting the 2019 Lok Sabha elections as an independent candidate from Ernakulam constituency. And the Supreme Court has now also dismissed an appeal which has been filed by the accused, that is Sarita S. Nair. Now we will find out why the Supreme Court has dismissed the appeal. Why? We will focus at why the Supreme Court has dismissed the appeal, because the Supreme Court has refused the appeal made by Sarita S. Nair, who is in the Kerala solar scam accused person, on the grounds, the Supreme Court or the bench which is led by the Chief Justice of India, Sharath Bobde, has refused to go ahead with listening to the appeal, because on the grounds that she was convicted, this is a keyword, she was convicted in 2 criminal cases, and that is why she remains disqualified under section 8 of 3 of the Representation of Peoples Act from contesting elections unless her conviction has been stayed. So as she is convicted now in 2 cases, that is why she remains disqualified under section 8 of subclause 3 of the Representation of Peoples Act. So this is the key phrase which you need to understand, that a person who has been convicted cannot contest in the elections based or disqualified to contest the elections under section 8 of subclause 3 of the Representation of Peoples Act. So that is the key phrase here. And the Supreme Court, the bench also made it very clear, it is not mere suspension of a sentence would not qualify her to contains the polls, and it says that what does this under section 8 of 3 says of Representation of People's Act. It says very clearly that a person who has been convicted of any offense or sentenced to imprisonment not less than 2 years, they will be disqualified from the date of the person who has been convicted, and the particular person or the individual shall continue to be disqualified for a further period of 6 years even from his or her release. That means from the time convicted, and then if the person is been released also from the date of the release of the person who has been convicted, who was convicted, from then a period of 6 years also the person shall continue to be disqualified. So this is as per section 8 of 3 of the Representation of People's Act. So this is again very crucial information for the polity perspective. In regards to the prelims, we are talking about the Representations of People's Act. Representation of People's Act in regards to section 8 of subclause 3. So this is the main in regards to how a person would be disqualified on, or on which grounds a person is disqualified to contest the election when he or she or the individual is convicted and sentenced to imprisonment. And there is another news which is in regards to the Maratha quota case. This is in regards to the reservation. The news is in regards to the reservation of the Marathas in the Maharashtra, and here the Supreme Court is seeking the Attorney General's input in regards to the Maratha quota case. And now we will look at what is that Supreme Court is seeking about the Attorney General's inputs. So we will now look at, that is the Attorney General K.K. Venugopal is the one who is now looking into, or he will decide whether a state legislature can go ahead with specifying a particular community based on socially and educationally backwards. So this was in news for almost couple of months, but now the Supreme Court, that is a 5-judge bench of the Supreme Court, which is examining the Maratha quota law. Please do understand, it is now looking into, it is examining, but while it is examining the Maratha quota law, it is seeking the assistance of the Attorney General, that is K.K. Venugopal, whether the Supreme Court or the state government can decide whether a state legislature can specify a particular community as a socially and educational background for granting reservation in education and jobs. So this is the keyword or the phrase wherein now the Supreme Court is seeking or the assistance from the Attorney General of whether the Maharashtra state legislature can specify any particular community as a socially and educationally backward. And the bench, which is led by Ashok Bhushan, will examine whether or if the Maharashtra legislature had violated. Here look at it. One point is that we need to focus is whether the state legislature, here the keyword is state legislature, whether the state legislature can specify a particular community as a socially and culturally backward. And now the Supreme Court is also examining whether the Maharashtra legislature has violated the Constitutional or Constitution Act of 2018, that is 102nd Amendment Act of 2018. So here the 102nd Amendment Act is the keyword which you need to focus from polity perspective, that whether the state legislature can specify any particular community as a socially and educationally backward, and whether the Maharashtra legislature has violated the 102nd Amendment Act 2018. So now we will look at what does the 102nd Amendment Act, or what are the provisions, or what are the various articles enshrined in the Indian Constitution. We will now focus that. So the contentious act is the 102nd Amendment Act, which the Constitutional Amendment Act has introduced Article 338B and Article 342A in the Constitution. It has introduced. So we will now focus at what is 338B article and what is Article 342A. So Article 338B deals with the newly established National Commission for Backward Classes, and Article 342A empowers the president. Please do understand, 342A empowers the President of India to specify any particular community as a socially and educationally backward communities in the state, and it is for the Parliament to include any community in the central list that a particular community is socially and a backward community or backward class, which can be granted reservation benefits in education and jobs. So it is very clear that it is the president who specifies the community, a particular community, as a socially and educational backward, and it is the Parliament which includes a particular community into the central list. So again, all these are very, very crucial information for the polity prelims perspective. But if you look at, as per Article 342, it is the President and the Parliament which includes a community in the central list which can be recognized as a socially and backward class. But the Maharashtra State Reservation for Socially and Educationally Backward Classes Act 2018 has declared Marathas as socially and educationally backward. Now you understand why the Supreme Court is seeking the advice from the Attorney General, to examine the Maratha quota in the Maharashtra, because the Maharashtra State Reservation SCBC Act of 2018 has declared, please do understand, state has declared Marathas as socially and educationally backward. But as per Article 342A, it empowers the president, and it also gives the powers for the Parliament to include a community in the central list. But it has gone against the Article 342A, and you have a National Commission for Backward Classes, but here it is the state legislature, that is the Maharashtra State Legislature, which has declared Marathas as socially and educationally backward. That is why the Supreme Court has sought assistance from the Attorney General, and it looks into whether the state can specify or the state has violated the 102nd Amendment Act of 2018. So this, now we will recapitulate the entire DNA of today's. So this is in regards to the information and technology, wherein the Pradhan Mantri Vani has gone ahead with giving Union government has looked at the Wi-Fi, public Wi-Fi hotspots. So this is in regards to the information and technology we have focused at, and this is again in regards to the health, why the export committee of the DCGI has put it on hold, because it wanted more of evidence on the data, and the Supreme Court has here spoken about not to paste the quarantine posters, because the petitioner has filed in the Supreme Court saying that the posters would or violate the fundamental right of privacy. So here we are focused again from polity perspective. Cattle and buffalo meat found, this is as per the study of the University of Cambridge and Banaras Hindu University, and this study has brought in the lipid residue, and this is again in regards to the art and culture or Indian art and culture we have focused from prelims perspective. And this is in regards to again polity we have focused how an individual who is convicted cannot contest the election because based on the section 8 of 3 of the Representations of Peoples Act. Again, this is very crucial for polity perspective, and this is again in regards to the Maratha quota reservation, which is again from polity perspective we have looked at the article 342 and article 338, which have been again we have looked at 102nd amendment act of 2018. So all these are the crucial information for prelims as well as mains perspective. So I hope this discussion or the analysis of the Hindu newspaper was informative, knowledgeable one for you in regards to the prelims as well as mains examination for macro and micro level preparation. So I would say a very big thank you to all and a best of luck to you all, and do maintain consistency, stick to your schedule and take care of your physical health and mental health. And do not forget to like the video, share the video and subscribe the English medium of AKS IAS English medium YouTube channel, and then do visit the AKS website and also sign in the Telegram link of AKS, that is Advanced Knowledge System. So I would see you again tomorrow with the daily news analysis, and I would say a very big thank you to all. Thank you everyone.